People are calling the 2018 election cycle the year of the woman. A record number of female candidates are campaigning this year. And joining me now are Olgi Diaz and Alexis Turla of the National Women's Political Caucus of Washington. Thank you so much, Alexis. Olgi.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. Olgi, the first question I had for you when we're talking about this is the event that you guys have or just held that helps women who want to run for office. Tell me a little bit about the event.
So yesterday we did one of our many annual candidate trainings. We trained over 60 women down in Des Moines. And we do everything from how to do your messaging, how to talk to voters, what things to expect, and we really just try to get people ready to run.
What's kind of the reception when people go into this? Do they have any idea what they're up against and before you kind of hone their skills?
I think some people do. We get a lot of folks who maybe want to run for office in May when filing week is coming up, or 5 years from now. We've trained women who want to run for Congress, to people who want to run for school board. It's just all across the map. And we also train candidate staff and volunteers. Lots of folks are interested in learning. Yeah.
I mean, obviously last year was, it was a pretty big deal, and not just nationally, but even locally. I mean, look at the Seattle City Council. I mean, you've got 6 of the 9 are women. What can we expect for 2018? I don't know if you want to take this one, but
yes,
what
absolutely. 2017 was a great year for women, particularly here in Washington State. We just saw the first woman to be mayor in 90 years for Seattle,
yep,
and a record number of women who actually took on mayoral races in Washington. However, we are continuing to see people come, but we also still have barriers. We have only 7 women of color actually serving in our state legislature. So we are really wanting to focus on identification and gaps. So the Women's Political Caucus is actually holding women of color training specifically for women of color to run for office, to provide a sacred space for education and to address some of those barriers.
I mean, if you had to look at, I'll use Seattle City Council because that's what I mentioned, it's very diverse. It's maybe one of the few that is that diverse, but in other areas you don't have that diversity, and it sounds like that's something you guys really want to focus on a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, nationally, the United States is ranked 99th in women's representation, and so we were really trying to change that course to try to get more women to run for office, and especially those that are lower income, who are working mothers, and those that are women of color.
The Women's March, I mean, that was monumental. I mean, it was massive all across the country. What did you see? Is there a difference between what we saw before that and after that march? Did you find a lot more women wanting to come out and say, you know what, maybe I can make a difference? Did you guys notice that?
Absolutely. We saw a record number of women last year. All of our trainings were sold out immediately within a week or two. So it was a high number of people. We are seeing a huge convergence around not just the Women's March, but other social movements as well, that people are getting more involved and more activated. However, we want to make sure that people understand how to run for office,
right,
and have the tricks and tools. And also we want to have people that feel like they may not be able to run because of maybe financial barriers, how to raise money, because it's still very expensive to run for office.
Oh, sure. So if somebody's out there thinking, okay, hey, maybe I could do that, where do they go? How do they find you?
They can reach out to the National Women's Political Caucus, which actually is the oldest women's caucus in Washington State. We've been around since 1971. They could go to our website, which is www.nwpc.org.
We'll have something posted so they can find that for you.
Yeah.
All right, Alexis, Olgi, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is good. All right.